Hello and welcome to another edition of the Alexandra Wenman Show. I'm so excited today because Diana Cooper is joining us again. And this woman, I mean, I've known you now for, I think, over about 10 years, Diana. Isn't that right?
So. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you've got about 30 books out in 27 different languages, and you've got a new book out at the moment, or coming out, called The Magic of Unicorns.
It's just out.
It's just out. Oh, it's
The
so
magic. Oh, I get it straight. The Magic of Unicorns. And people just see this book and touch it, and they have unicorn experiences. And when they're reading it, it's incredible. The emails and texts I've been getting saying people have had dreams about unicorns. They've had unicorns come to them. They have really used the book as a medium to get in touch with people.
Oh, I love it. And obviously you have other books about unicorns out, don't you? You have The Wonder of Unicorns and some unicorn
10 years
cards.
ago, I wrote The Wonder of Unicorns.
Yeah.
And at that time, they came to me and said that they were looking for people with a light on of service over their head. And then they would connect with those people and work with them. But now, of course, the frequency of the planet and everybody has risen to such an extent that they're pouring in to help us because they can touch so many people. And fascinatingly enough, there are unicorns on everything, on every cup you see, t-shirts, children's toys, and there is a purpose in this. I was walking across the field one day, and this mother had a pram, and the baby dropped her toy, and she picked it up. The mother picked it up, handed it back to the baby, and said, "Here's your unicorn." As that happened, I saw this flash of white light come across and touch them. And I thought, oh, yes, that's how it works. You see something connected with unicorns, a unicorn picture, you're thinking about unicorns, and that gives them an entry, and they can come in and touch you.
And they're so present, aren't they? I mean, even this morning, I've just for our viewers, where have I put it? This morning, I went to put my eyeshadow on, which I don't normally wear. And the first thing I pull out, which I didn't even know I had, is Unicorns Unite eyeshadow. I mean, you couldn't make it up. They're so present. It's just hilarious. I love it. And obviously, alongside this book, you've just released a documentary pilot, haven't you, on your YouTube channel? Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that came about?
The unicorns want to get out there so that they can touch and help everybody and bless them and raise their light. And so they were asking me to do something about this. And I thought, well, okay, if I can get a documentary out there, that would be a good way of doing it. And so that next day, a friend came to lunch, and guess what? He was a filmmaker. And he recommended somebody who could do the documentary. He said, but I don't know if he will be interested in the subject matter. So I phoned him up. I phoned him up, and we had a chat, and then he came to lunch, and we had more of a chat, and he was getting more and more excited about the unicorns and the entire Angelic Realms. And so then he went home to make a contract, and he wrote out the contract and thought, well, he'd take his dog for a walk. And so as he took the dog for a walk, he put his dog bag in the bin, opened the bin, and there peeping out at him was a toy unicorn.
Oh my God.
He ran home saying, it's got to be a sign. But it didn't end there. You know, the unicorns, they're very clear. They're going to tell you things. That night, he was walking out to post the contract, and on the corner of his street, there were 3 people standing. As he walked past, one turned to the other and said, I can't wait to wear my unicorn horn tonight.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's so amazing.
It really is. I've just come back. Actually, I had my friend Lorraine, who I think you've met. We had her birthday on the weekend. We had a little weekend in the countryside, and all of us, without realizing it, brought something to do with unicorns. I brought a unicorn pinata, which of course we couldn't destroy. She was horrified. She was like, I'm not beating that up. But we all had party hats on, like unicorn horns. And then she brought plates and napkins. It was just so synchronized.
It is. And it's amazing how children love unicorns, and they're wanting unicorn parties and all sorts of unicorn things to happen.
They're
and
so
it's the
pure.
purity that they feel, that pure white essence of the unicorns that's touching them.
And there's science behind this too, isn't there? I mean, I know in your documentary you had our lovely mutual friend Callista. She used to be a scientist, and also a medical doctor talking about unicorns.
Absolutely. No, it was fascinating because Callista used to be a cancer research scientist, and she became disillusioned with that and moved into the spiritual realms and has written a book about unicorns. And she talked about her experiences with them. And we also had two other people, Tim Wilde and friend Truda Clark, and they talked about their experiences with unicorns, magical, and the messages that the unicorns brought of hope for everybody and the planet. It really was totally uplifting. And then in the second half, one of my teachers from the Diana Cooper School, who is a doctor, she did a healing, the healing that we teach people to do in the school. And we didn't know the patient beforehand. And she came, she was lovely. And she didn't know anything about unicorns, but she sat there and Kirsten Eust gave her the healing. And we took her aura photograph beforehand. Now, she was a warrior. She said she was always thinking, always worrying, and her aura was completely yellow, the color of thinking. Furthermore, there were huge gaps in it, huge holes in it, and you could see dark energy could come in. And so it was no wonder she was having troubles with her digestion and as she described. And then Kirsten did the healing with her. And lo and behold, her aura changed totally. You could see the unicorn energy in it. All the gaps had been totally sealed. And I'm still in touch with, Diane was her name, I'm still in touch with her, and she still feels the effect of it now.
You changed her life. You've all changed her life.
At a soul level. Because
Beautiful.
if a unicorn comes to you and touches you, it really shifts you at that deep soul level.
It does. And I think even watching the documentary for the viewers, you know, if you go on and you watch that, I'm getting goosebumps. If you go on and watch that, you know, the energy of them will come to you as well. I mean, I was watching it last night and just going, you just feel them come in. I mean, it's incredible. What I loved about the aura photo is that you can clearly see the change, and that beautiful pale pink. I mean, it's just so heavenly, isn't it?
Yeah. The unconditional love energy at the top and the bottom of her aura.
And completely all
unicorn. Yeah.
Just beautiful. Just beautiful. How do you think, obviously we're in a very interesting period of time on the planet, and you've foreseen this for many years. How do you think the unicorns are helping us through this time at the moment?
In the golden era of Atlantis, of course, everybody was connected with their unicorn, who helped to hold their energy pure. It poured light into them, the highest spiritual Christ light, because of course unicorns carry the highest frequency of Christ light, and that's that pure white energy. And so everybody then was connected. Now they're coming back again to touch as many people as possible, to hold them in alignment with their soul blueprint, help them to connect to be who they truly are, to pour healing into them. Not so many people realize how unicorns give healing and how that can really, really shift people. I mean, in my book, I've got a whole section about healing with unicorns and the stories that people have shared with me about what happened to them when a unicorn came to them. Or one was in hospital and a unicorn came to her and all her pain literally disappeared. The unicorns can do anything they are just awesome. And so while angels will work with the wishes of your heart, the unicorns work with the deep desires of your soul. And they can take those and make sure that they manifest. In the book, there are a lot of very long visualizations. And I said to them, but people can't remember this, it's going to be difficult. And they said, no, it's fine. If you just read the visualization through, it's having an effect on you. Now, I thought that was quite a magical way for them to tell me that.
It's beautiful, isn't it? The subconscious is always working, and I guess it takes them into that deeper level process.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's beautiful. And obviously we have so many more unicorns coming into the planet, or we're being made aware of them. We also have many more angels around, don't we, these days?
Absolutely. And more higher frequency angels and archangels. Now, we've always worked with certain archangels that have been around for a long, long time. But there are many new ones coming in either from other universes or from frequencies that we haven't been so connected with, because we're ready now. And one of the things that they talked about for the book was how they worked with certain specific archangels, like Michael, for example. And I think most people know that the sapphire is the material, physical form of Michael's energy on Earth. And so out in the cosmos, there is also a cosmic sapphire, which is simply awesome, which contains all his frequencies at a very high level and takes you on journeys in the book to go out and sit within it. Now the magic comes in. You're sitting within the sapphire or whichever gem, and then the unicorns light it up. Now, that's when it's beyond anything you can imagine. They specifically took me into the cosmic diamond, Gabriel's energy. I sat there in this pure white light, feeling the facets literally cutting away old stuff and clearing it. And then the unicorns came and they illuminated it while I was inside it in my meditation. And I felt as if I was exploding with the blazing light of it. That was absolutely extraordinary.
It's so amazing and magnificent. We're really being prepared for the new golden age, aren't we? Can you tell us a little bit about the golden age and what to expect? Because I think right now there's a lot of people that are really in the duality, aren't they? Some people are caught up in the fear. Some of us are like, wow, the change is here.
Change is
definitely here.
I mean, the old paradigm is breaking down. And so we've had this 20-year period, as you know, between the end of the Age of Atlantis, which was 2012, to the new golden age, which is 2032, when that starts. And in that time, everything in the old third dimensional paradigm has to collapse as we prepare for the new. And so we are seeing the economies breaking down because they are not based on love and cooperation and highest good. So anything that isn't for the highest good is collapsing. Of course, this is very scary for a lot of people who cannot envisage anything else. But already we're seeing cooperative type of movements coming in. And a lot of people will lose their jobs. But if your job isn't in alignment with the highest good of your soul, then your guardian angel will make sure it is taken away. And so we're asked not to run around looking for the same job again, because that doesn't serve the purpose of what this entire shift is about, but to look for what gives you soul satisfaction. And as soon as you're doing what gives you true soul satisfaction, then financially or in whatever way you need, you are looked after by the universe. It is a magical thing that is happening now for people to understand this. So you need to look for a job that is working with nature to support nature, or for the highest good of children. See, the old education establishments are all breaking down now. They have not served the highest good of children. But there are new things coming up which do serve the new souls coming in. Jobs to do with creativity. I know there's been a terrible time for creative people during the lockdown, but those are the jobs that are going to be blessed and brought forward for the new paradigm. Things about growing fresh organic food, all of those things will be the new future. We will not be relying on shopping in supermarkets. I wrote in my book 2012 and Beyond, which came out before 2012, a long time ago, know that supermarkets were on their way out. We will start seeing smaller, everything smaller again. You know, these vast hospitals, vast schools and things, they're to do with the ego of the leaders. They are nothing to do with the needs of people. And so those will all go. And people will be scared because that's what they're used to. That's what they've been told is what we need. But actually, it's not. We need things that are small and in community.
Yeah, the communities are rising again, aren't they? I keep getting this message from the angels. Every time I'm doing sort of planetary work, they say, ask to raise the cities of light. And we're seeing these cities of light, you know, places like Byron Bay, that used to be a tiny little town in Australia, is now booming with conscious people and organic festivals and food markets. It's beautiful to see.
And it is such a beautiful place to sit on the cliffs and watch the dolphins and the whales and things. I mean, it's beyond anything gorgeous.
It's amazing, isn't it? I remember I grew up there barefoot as a little kid.
You grew up in Byron Bay?
I grew up in Coffs Harbour, which is just 3 hours away, but we used to go there nearly every holiday. And I've watched it change over the years. It's actually really incredible how much it's grown.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to live near there again one day.
I'm sure you will. If you know, as you know, everyone is starting to be called to where their soul energy should be.
Yeah, we have a lot of light workers moving out of the big cities, aren't we? Like seeing an exodus, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I know I was just walking down the path one day and I got a message that you shouldn't be here anymore, where I was living before. And 2 months ago, after lockdown, having had to wait all through lockdown, I moved to where I needed to be. And I know that this is the right place for me.
Wow, I can definitely feel a call to Australia. I'm just waiting to see when that's going to happen. But I know I had a friend, a beautiful lightworker friend, Cielanu Estrella, and she was living in Peru, and she's just had to move really quickly from Peru before they locked down all the borders. So lots of lightworkers are moving, definitely.
Yeah.
Lots of change, lots of upheaval. What would you say to people who, obviously, with COVID, a lot of people have been passing over, and a lot of people have been losing lost loved ones. Have you got a word of comfort for them in why this is happening, why so many people are leaving the planet at this time?
Well, it was a great portal of opportunity for souls to pass over if they wanted to take advantage of that time. And so it was an opportunity. Unfortunately, we tend to see death as something terrible. And of course, if your loved one has died, it is not easy. But if you absolutely know that they're moving to something better, then that helps. I'll tell you a story. It happened some years ago. We were sent a photograph of a young man, I think he was 18, with his motorbike. And he was absolutely surrounded by Archangel Michael orbs. I mean, literally, there were dozens of them. And we said, my goodness, he's protected. A week later, he was killed on his motorbike. Wow. Terrible, terrible tragedy. But my guide said he had so much protection because he loved life at a physical level, but at a soul level, he knew it was his time to go, and he would have gone sooner if he hadn't had that protection, because he could feel the calling to be where he was meant to be.
Wow. And it makes you realize there's never a mistake, is there? We don't go before it's our time.
No. No, unless you have this opportunity. Like when I had cancer, I had twice they came to me and said, would I like to stay or go? And each time I said, whatever's for the highest good, I don't mind. And I'm still
You're
here.
still here, you're needed. I know that last time we spoke, actually, you just were in your recovery straight
Oh,
after,
right.
it was 2017, wasn't it? That we spoke. So how are you recovered now? How are you feeling? How's everything
Absolutely,
going?
totally 100%. Yes. I just feel that I went through that and I went to move to near my children just beforehand. Wasn't that interesting? They were
Mm.
all around. And then after it was over, I knew it was time for me to move away and live somewhere else. So it just felt everything was so incredibly planned for the
This is
highest good. Yeah.
if you follow the omens and you follow the signs, it leads you completely, doesn't it? If you just trust.
And the unicorns are spectacularly brilliant at doing that. They just give you such clear and obvious signs, especially in the way that, you know, they're everywhere right now.
I know you just look up and there's posters of them everywhere, or T-shirts of them everywhere. It's
Mm-hmm.
magical.
Mm-hmm.
Even that I love the advert. I love the joy that comes in with them. There's an advert on YouTube about the squatty potty. Have you seen that one? I
No.
must send it to you, Diana. You'll probably really like it. Check out the squatty potty on YouTube. You will absolutely just laugh your head off. It's so funny. But unicorn
There's a
humor.
unicorn on it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there's another one called Charlie the Unicorn. Very funny. Very, very
Okay.
funny. I want to talk to you a little bit about the new technologies coming in and how, because obviously now we have many people who are spiritual becoming interested in science, and then many scientists becoming interested in spirituality, and we do have this bridging going on. I know that you've spoken a lot about crystal technology from Atlantis. Do you think this is something that we're going to implement as well coming into the new golden age?
I think we're not only going to implement it, but we're going to implement it at a frequency higher.
Mm.
Because we've moved up into a higher frequency than Atlantis was. Atlantis was in a third dimensional planet, which is why it was so extraordinary. But now the planet is fifth dimensional, and the people then can accomplish something so much more because they're being supported by the energy as well. So my feeling is that we have got to let go during the next few years of all these wavelengths that are coming through, the 4G and the 5G. They're all harmful to people, to bees, to dolphins, to everybody. And they're doing things that really are not for our good. The thing about Atlantis was that they sent out the energy through the crystals, and the energy was pure source light. So as soon as enough people raise their frequency and connect to the purest light, then the new crystal technology will be brought forward. Then we'll be using that for flying, for traveling. You know, they said that if you had a transport in Golden Atlantis, you opened the bonnet and you didn't find an engine, you found a crystal. And
Yeah,
so it was all powered like that. The children went to school on their own little flying trays. And so they would sit on their tray. It was made specifically for them, powered, of course, from their home crystal. And they could then focus their mind, because they all were taught mind control and practice it, to where they were going. And then they would be taken there and hover on a little hover plate. And I think a lot of people have dreamt about these over the years because it's a memory coming back from Atlantis. But everything, the plants that they grew in with advanced hydroponics, all had crystals programmed to help the growth of the plant. Water was purified with crystals, and all of these memories are coming back now and will start to be used. Solar power, wind power, sea power, but not used as they are now, in a completely new way, which my guide always says, you simply cannot imagine it now. because it's not in your consciousness, the new that's waiting to come in, that is so powerful and exciting
I
and
want to talk, so
harnessed.
it's so exciting. I want to talk a little bit about some of the physical changes that people might be experiencing. I know that, well, I myself and many people I know in our line of work already having telepathic experiences. I know that I meet with people in my dreams. We dream of each other, and then we'll phone each other and go, "Oh, you were in my dream." All of these things happening.
Yeah.
But a lot of the physical changes going on with the body, such as unexplained pains and aches and things like that that people are dealing with. Do you have any advice for how they can work through that?
Well, the very first thing is go and get it checked out medically.
Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. And in case there is also a medical thing going on as well. But it's always about raising your vibration, calling in higher energies that will help you to raise that frequency so that you don't have to go through the pain of it. So, I mean, one of the things you could do is go and sit in Archangel Raphael's beautiful emerald, his cosmic emerald, and receive his energy directly at a very high frequency. And the unicorns then come in and touch it at a ninth dimensional frequency, which is awesome and enables you to raise very quickly to that part of your body to where it needs to be. And I give full instructions in the Magic of Unicorns how you can do this, and a visualization that it will take you through. So I would say that the first thing to do is to raise your frequency beyond the frequency of the pain.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. I can't wait to read this book. I can already feel the energy coming off it.
I know.
It's like you just want to hold it in your hands.
It is actually amazing. Well, it's magic. They wanted the book to be called The Magic of Unicorns. Because the first one was The Wonder of Unicorns. And at that time, they were just simply amazing. Now we're used to them. And they wanted to bring forward the magic. In other words, what they can do beyond the physical that we expect.
And we can work with them, can't we? Then it becomes teamwork.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's fantastic. I also I love that you've been doing a lot of beautiful videos on your YouTube during lockdown to help people connect with the
Yes.
angels, and I know that that's been helping me through some difficult times lately as well. So I just wanted to point that out to people watching, that Diana's got some beautiful angel processes, haven't you? You talk us through the archangels. And
well, there were a whole lot. I did. I started off with 21 days, I think, and then another 21 days, and then another 21 days of different things. And the first ones were all connecting with archangels, and they were all around about 11 minutes, something like that. And it was just my offering to help people through the lockdown when it was so difficult. I worked harder during lockdown than I have for a long time, because it just felt so important to take the opportunity and offer people something that they could do to raise their frequency and give them a sense that it was all worthwhile.
yeah, I think the angels have been more present than ever during this lockdown. I know they've been kicking my butt too. I've been getting my oracle cards ready for publication, which you've so kindly written my forward for. I'm so excited. They're coming out.
They're lovely. Yeah.
April next year. So very exciting.
Wow. That's, so many beautiful spiritual things coming out now.
That's it. I think that's what the good thing about this situation is, that it's brought people back into their hearts, and it has kind of sparked a lot of creativity within people, hasn't it? It's kind of shown us, well, if you get off the treadmill, there's quite a lot there to explore within, and that's one of the blessings for this time, I think.
Yeah, I think that if you are interested in nature, in creativity of any sort, then you'll find this change into the new paradigm relatively easy. If all you're interested is in money and ego stuff and clothes, it's going to be very difficult.
It's all breaking down, isn't it? To get back to what's real. The materialism is dissolving and the heart is opening. It's wonderful. obviously also you have your Diana Cooper School. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what people can learn through the school?
Okay, well, it's a school I started 20 years ago, knowing absolutely nothing. It's just, I kept thinking, I can't put all this information out myself. Let's get other people in who can teach it. So I just set up a school and soon learned that I knew nothing about teaching really, because there were so many teachers on it who kept telling me what to do. But it continued and continued, and more people came in and wanted to learn how that they could spread that information. And eventually I got to the point where I said, okay, I won't do any more teaching. All the teachers can teach now. And I handed the school over to them. And it's been amazing because they did things that I would never have been able to do. And they write the courses based on my books and my information. And so we teach about dragons, unicorns, Atlantis, courses on transformation, ascension, angels. There are a whole raft of courses that people can take. And it's brilliant. It was just set up as a not-for-profit organization so that we could get this out around the world. And, Kirsten Used, who was the doctor who was in the documentary. Mm-hmm. She is from Switzerland. She did one of her trainings in Switzerland or Germany, and one of them in Spain. That's right. So that people can go to all sorts of different places and learn from teachers in the Diana Cooper School. And so there's a whole setup of how you can learn.
Oh, wonderful. It's everything. It's so generous that you did it as a not-for-profit as well. That's wonderful to make it accessible. I love that.
Well, it just means that the intention felt right.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, I do want to talk a little bit about, the spiritual industry, because we have a lot of duality within our industry as well, don't we? Yeah, so I find that, and I don't know if you've found this, but I find that in staying in your integrity, it's often more challenging than not on this planet. So I find that one thing I do want to say to people is, when you work with angels, it's not always light and fluffy, is it? They do tend to put you through your paces. And what's your take on that, Diana? I'd love to hear your words on this.
But I think you're absolutely right. And I'm constantly saying to myself, is this my ego or is it my higher self? Because, when the angels came back and they asked me to tell people about them, and I said, no, I didn't want to, thank you very much. The words they said to me loud and clear were, who is doing your work? Is it your ego or your higher self? Wow. And those words have stayed with me ever since, because it's so easy to do things from ego. You want to be better than another spiritual teacher or have more people signing up for your courses, all of that. And yet, if you let that go and you just say, show me what to do for the highest good, then it comes to what is for the highest good.
That is right. That's what's always been my mantra. It's put me where you need me.
Yeah.
And what I think one thing I forgot to ask was, put me where you need me, but please let my needs be met too. It's just the rug can really come out from under you sometimes, kind of. And I think, there's such a blessing in that. I know that we need the ego, but there is a real blessing in being, facing up to it and it being broken down and being taken to the very depths of your core, your dark and your light, both sides.
Yeah, I think you've got to think, okay, do what's for the highest good, but it's also got to be for your own highest good.
Yeah.
That is a big part of it. Otherwise you become a doormat or you just become overwhelmed. And a lot of people are very, very needy. And you have to set your boundaries. That's part of your learning. As a Virgo, I have a learning of discrimination, or Virgos do. And yes, we're still learning all the time. But somehow it's moving upwards, I feel, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's you have to love yourself as much as you love others too. That's one of the biggest things as well. It's not to let your boundaries be too almost too open. You kind of have to have it very healthy, don't you? It's wonderful.
A
Oh,
balance, really. Everything's about balance, I
I
think.
know. I just think sometimes this world could come across as complete chaos and bonkers, and you're sitting there going, "What are you asking me to do now?" But
But
then eventually,
uh, they gave me so much information for 2012 and beyond about what was going to happen. And I was literally beginning to doubt at the beginning of this year and think, I've put all this down that this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And how can it all happen before 2032? Suddenly, I can see it.
it's right in front of
Absolutely.
us, isn't it?
This
Yeah.
virus has just swept so much away and out and stuff being released. And I think, okay, sorry I doubted. I can absolutely see it now.
And I love the symbolism of it. It's the crown, corona, it's the
I know,
halo.
I know. On a lower note, Corona beer just simply can't sell in the shops.
Oh, I was buying it all through summer. It was really cheap. It was great. I was like, "Cheers, Corona! Thanks for the lockdown break, so I can sit in my garden."
Yeah.
Oh, Diana, it's always such a pleasure to talk to you, and I'm so pleased to have you back on the show. Are there any final words that you'd like to say to people?
Well, yes. Please watch the YouTube about the unicorns, and you'll feel yourself being touched by the unicorns. But absolutely know during this challenging period that we are being held, we are being led forward. The unicorns say that we have a magnificent and fabulous future ahead. Focus on that. Focus on where we are going, not what we're going through at this moment.
I love
I think
that.
that's really what we need to do.
Absolutely. And I'll share the links to the documentary below, and also the book, buy the book, The Magic of Unicorns, because that will help you connect with them as well.
Yes.
Stunning. And I'll pop Diana's website. It's just dianacooper.com, isn't it?
It is.
I'll pop that below here as well.
Okay.
And thank you so much, everyone, for watching, for joining us on the Alexandra Wenman Show. And Diana, such a pleasure. Thank you so much, my lovely.
And thank you. Bless you.